Hoo-ha. You loved it the first time. You'll love it the second time. That's right. A continuation of John's journey to earn the heart of all women around him. Yes. Very good. So what better way to start than a nice little sippy. Alright? I still have a bottle of soju I have to go through. Oh, however, I definitely used more in this drink than I did last time. So this is going to be stronger off the bat. So, I ate. I'm good. I got food in me. I got water at my side. I'm ready. You ready, boys? Let's start off with a bang. And by that, I mean we're going to end with a whimper. Let's do it. Interlude number 3. Pardon me. I'm just going to, you know. Oh, I should mention, chat, in case anybody was wondering. I don't know what's wrong with the Rumia VOD, but it's broken. It is 100% broken. So I have to like actually straight up upload the entire VOD, and I'm including a timestamp for when the game actually starts. So it's a good thing I didn't do art. It's a good thing I didn't do art on that stream, because if I did, it would be a massive fucking headache. But yeah, I tried exporting it 3 different times. And it doesn't work. There's some kind of issue with the file or something. So, I don't know. It's really annoying. So, I just had to upload the whole fucking stream with the beginning part and everything. So, yeah, I have a timestamp for that. So, that's great. I'm glad that worked. I don't know what the issue is. It's not storage space, but it sits there, it exports for 50 minutes, and then it produces a 24-byte file. And it just doesn't work. It makes no sense. I don't get it. Alright, let's resume. Interlude 3, a foreword of the second playthrough. As yes, the first 10 targets for our first playthrough have not been conquered yet, but the second playthrough is starting nonetheless. Our second playthrough will feature characters you've unlocked from the first playthrough, as well as new characters. How do these characters differ? Some characters will come from characters you've unlocked in the first playthrough. In order to conquer these new characters, you must first increase your affection with the corresponding character until you're close to the Lovers 1 stage. In fact, some characters may even require you to breach Lovers 1 before becoming available. That seems concerning. For example, in order to conquer Target 11, Marisa, you first need to reach Reimu's affection to friends. Yes, this is necessary. Depending on the strategy, we may need the assistance of characters from the first playthrough, so you may need to increase the affection of other characters too. Naturally, as many of you noticed, when Saka writes these guides for conquering Gensokyo's girls, he sprinkles in elements that possibly could have practical use in real life too. Oh! Oh, does he? Such as? Please give me an example of a practical use in real life based on what we have read so far. I'm fucking dying to know. Saka is gonna basic interview how he sees love during the first playthrough. Therefore, in the second playthrough, Saka will focus on even more bizarre yet logical strategies. He'll try to stick to a comedic and lighthearted style of writing too, so I hope everyone is excited to continue reading the second playthrough. What's the most practical advice he gave? Obviously the one where in order to meet the girl that you're interested in, you need to commit breaking and entering. Yes. Yep, that's probably the most relatable one. I'm gonna use that one. And you know what? Actually, this is a joke. This is a joke. Okay, alright, give me a sec. Here we go. Big glug. Big gulp. Oh. Target 11. Marisa. Condition. Reimu Hakure. Friend 2. Stranger. Sometimes we can't be too hasty to get our hands on a person. What sort of person am I talking about? Well, first, she can't be someone with a small circle of friends. If it's someone like Yuka, you probably wouldn't need to think about anyone else anyways, because no one can help you on that path. Though it wouldn't be necessarily say that there are more recent, about more recent characters. She must be someone with already a couple friends or buddies. That way, when you have friends in your fold, you can slowly start encroaching onto your target through these wingmen. Trust me, this is surely the most broadly applicable method. True. You ever hear the Spice Girls songs about telling you what you want, what you really, really want? You know that song? If you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. See? The Spice Girls knew what was up. Saka is abbreviation of Spice Girls enthusiast, spelled with an A, of course. Of course. But even someone who's never played a galge before can understand that the moment you decide to do a certain character's route, it becomes necessary to increase affection of this character in particular. In a game, if you just appoint affection points willy-nilly before you decide on the character, it might result in a BE, a breaking and enter. You don't want to end up like our dear friend Makoto Ito. Who's that guy? Chat? Who's Makoto Ito? Hold on, I'm going to Google it. But I'm going to obscure the results in case it's something dirty. Makoto Ito. That's who he is. That's the School Days protagonist. That's the guy from School Days. Somehow I knew that was what I was going to get hit by in the search results, boys. That's somehow I knew. Okay. Where was I? That said, if you're reading a harem manga, you don't have to worry about that, but let's stick to the realm of reality because you won't find that anywhere near reality. Alright, I'm now back to planet Earth. All in all, to make sure your wingmen work properly and are willing to cover for you instead of knocking on your door with a knife will require some thought on your part, as well as some caution on how you increase affection. I'll touch on this in the future. So once you're able to frequent the Hakurei Shrine for tea and the Shrine Maiden is willing to carry you there, getting to know this girl that's caused so many headaches should be a piece of cake. Be aware that one similarity she shares with Aya is that she never sits on her thumb. She's always on the move, but she's also different from Aya in that Aya actually does business under the light of day on occasion, like a true journalist, whereas this girl usually deals under the table. I don't need to tell you what chances of finding her are. Yes, it's possible that you'll run into her in the streets of the human village, but that's not ideal. Therefore, if you want to meet her, it's best to be the Hakurei Shrine Maiden's friend. This is true. If there was anywhere in the entirety of Gensokyo you would be able to reasonably interact with Marisa, it's at Reimu home. Easily. You're not going to find her at her house, because good luck with that. You're not just going to randomly find her on the streets, bump into her, and have a conversation. Nope. Not going to work. You need to be Reimu friend and be at Reimu home. It makes sense. Understandable. I completely agree. I concur. Actually, streamer, the play is to walk into the forest, pick mushrooms, and nearly fucking die. And then maybe she'll find you, and she'll nurse you back to health in her hoarder den that she calls a home. Yeah, I'll buy it. I'm not kidding when I say making friends with her is trivial. What's not trivial is making her fall for you because she has a boatload of friends around her. This is why it's also so easy for you to befriend her. She acts friendly towards everyone. That's how it goes for most who are happy-go-lucky to a fault. Thus, I assume you ran into this magician that frequents the Hakurei Shrine while you're having tea with the Shrine Maiden there. Though there is a deeper reason as to why you're introducing yourself this way. You need to invoke her competitive spirit. What are you fighting over, Reimu? The magician doesn't like to lose, especially when compared to the Shrine Maiden. Hold on, there's like a speck on my shades here that's like, I can see it slightly in like my peripheral vision and it's bothering me. Ugh. Dude, I swear, you can never properly clean these lenses ever. There's so many, like, fucking little itty-bitty scratches that come from God knows where. Because my fingers don't touch the lens. And then it's just, like, then your eyes just get used to them. Until eventually you see something there. And you have to clean it. And then you notice all the fucking scratches on the lens. And it's just like, okay, great. Alright, where am I? When she doesn't say much, all we know is that she's obsessed with it. The Shrine Maiden has made a friend, then she must be friends with him as well. You think so? Yet, if the Shrine Maiden has had a friend for almost a month already, and the magician had zero idea this person even existed, her pride will, against all odds, automatically make her feel doubly close to you. It's not obvious, but the magician will never give you the cold shoulder in front of the Shrine Maiden. Quite the opposite. She'll try to make it seem like you've known each other for ages, seem like being the operating word there. Okay, this is actually a good question here. How many characters that Reimu is like friend, like on good terms with, are also on like good terms with Marisa? Because I feel like as far as protagonists go, they have like different like friend groups, you know? There's not really any overlap. Alice was the biggest overlap, but even then, Alice and Reimu have fallen by the wayside. Especially when you compare Marisa and Alice's, you know, dynamic. Suika's cool with both. That's true. Suika is cool with both. Lotus Eaters showed that. But Suika is always... Suika for the longest time, and it probably has to do with subterranean animism. I think subterranean animism kind of solidified things like this. But like, there's like Reimu group and Marisa group, right? And Fantasy Maiden Wars did it too. So like in Fantasy Maiden Wars, it also plays with Shaw types, right? So obviously Alice, Patchy, and then Nitori are kind of like that's Marisa group, right? The fellow magicians and then Nitori for some reason. But then Reimu has Yukari, Aya, and Suika, who are like way fucking stronger. Honestly, it's not even fair. Not even really a competition. But how much interaction does Patchy have with Reimu? Not very much at all. Nitori, probably not very much. Alice, not much in general, despite fandom. But Yukari has appeared at Marisa before. She knows Marisa. She's engaged with Suika slightly, but not really. And Aya, don't really think Marisa and Aya ever really talk. I'm not sure. I mean, they probably interacted in 1209 and maybe 10.5. And I guess technically in the Shoot the Bullet, right? But I can't recall what Marisa and Aya have ever really conversed with. Or about. Snide's an interesting one, because she's easily paired up with Reimu, but she does interact with Marisa because she's often at like the Hakude Shrine. I don't know. There's not really. I don't think there's any real character that like is on. I get Renosuke, duh. It's Renosuke. If there's any character in the series who's on like equally good terms with the protagonist, it's Renosuke. But Renosuke only really exists in the written works, right? And well, I guess that's not really a fair thing to say, because most of my examples, yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Point is, overlap between companions for the characters is actually kind of like minimal, which is neat. And in Marisa's case, she can just talk to anybody, but Reimu doesn't care about people. So like, Reimu with Marisa's friends wouldn't really be the same with Marisa with Reimu's friends. But the thing is, Reimu's friends are not as, I guess, approachable, which is weird because Patchy is not approachable at all. I would argue Suika is way more approachable than Patchy, but at the same time not, because, you know, she's an Oni. Yukari is literally unapproachable. You can't find her. Alice is friendly. Nitori is friendly. A bit of a gremlin, but you know. And Aya is quote-unquote friendly. I never really thought of this. It's kind of neat. Yeah, Oni can be friendly, but you need to be... They need to respect you as an individual for that. So, like, they like honesty and they like courage. So, there are a number of aspects to... Like, Marisa's weird because Marisa is not very honest. She's kind of a liar. She's a fib teller. But she is very straightforward and she is very brave. So she has more traits that an Oni would find attractive. Whereas in Reimu's case, Reimu is definitely... I wouldn't say Reimu is honest necessarily. She's not actively a liar, but she's also a human that is courageous and brave and, you know, not so much as a go-getter, but that's why Suika takes interest in her, is because she's neat. she's neat. She's not scared. Honesty, bravery, things like that. You know, stuff that none of you have. Anyway. Or am I? At this point, all that's missing is the cherry on top. Miss Marisa Kirisame, right? Miss Reimu talks about you a lot. She says you're a chronic kleptomaniac, but I'm sure those were just harmless pranks, right? Saying that lets her know, oh, so we were talking about you while you weren't around, as well as a direct observation such as, I'm buddies with the Shrine Maiden, but not you. Inviting comparison. Or just trying to break the ice. It also expresses, I understand your actions, and I've heard all of the bad press about you. This will not only close the distance between you, but also put you within her line of sight. However, the most important part comes next. Preparation 1. That's new. Okay. There's no need to rush. We can take our time conquering her. Coming up with ways to get close to other girls to understand them will drive you to your wit's end, but truth be told, you can skip that part when it comes to her. You don't need to keep finding excuses to rub shoulders with her either. Conversely, you need to keep your guard up around her and maintain a certain amount of distance. Strategies are interesting, are they not? She's the girl of your dreams, yet you need to keep your distance from her. Becoming acquainted or even close friends with Marisa Kirisame is probably the easiest thing in the world. The logic is somewhat the same as in Chirno's route. Those who are candid and honest often don't pay much attention to these things, if they even think about such things at all. Marisa Kirisame is one such girl. Sometimes her thoughts are so clear you can see right through. Sometimes she acts so fast she leaves a Tengu in the dust. Sometimes she's so hot-blooded even a phoenix would feel cold by comparison. Making a girl like her come to realize those minute emotions, those unassuming details, and fall in love is, to put it bluntly, quite difficult. So I actually like this line. Her thoughts are so clear you could see right through. And that's actually kind of a neat little aspect of Marisa's character, is despite the fact that she does lie, she is a fibber. She fibs a lot. She's not a very convincing liar. She is the type of character to, quote, wear her heart on her sleeve. She doesn't really talk about herself or, like, how much she does, but at the same time, she doesn't really harbor, like, I don't even know what you say, harbor, like, negative thoughts towards things. It's like, it feels like when Marisa's talking or when Marisa's acting, you kind of, you know what it is she's doing. She's not very secretive, so much that she's just not very outgoing with information about herself. So it's not really that she's hiding anything. It's just she doesn't talk. She doesn't like talk about herself. That's all. But you can kind of tell, like, what she's doing just by seeing her, observing her. She's not a very good liar. All right, where am I? Now then, allow me to set you on the right path. Firstly, when we reach strangers with Marisa, as in when you've seen Marisa multiple times while chatting with the Hakude Shrine Maiden, you'll need to put in some legwork. Take a deep breath because you're going to do every single strategy up until this point. You're going to become friends with most of those girls. In order to lay a foundation, you need at least 5 accomplishments. Here's a piece of advice. To conquer a Harem master, you need to become a Harem master. How about it? The difficulty just skyrocketed, huh? This is like when you play a dating sim, which, admittedly, I've never played a proper dating sim, but I've played romantic visual novels. This is like the fucking secret character that you unlock that's really hard because you need to basically like thin the web and put points in everything, and then it somehow turns into a completely different character. I'm sure there's a game with this example that exists where it's like in order to get a girl, in order to actually get on the route of the girl you're interested in, you need to essentially spread out in other places. But again, I'm not actually familiar with dating sims, like actual proper dating sims at all. I don't really know how they work. I effectively play visual novels. Well, I mean, I effectively play interactive storybooks, and by interactive, I mean I just pick the decisions that I'm told to take me to the end, the good end. Why do I do that? Because I have no time to be deciding things. I picked a decision that takes me to the good end so I can read the story. Okay? Alright? Leave me alone. I don't have time to play a visual novel, get a bad end, redo the whole route. Because at that point, I don't care about the story anymore. I'm annoyed. Alright? I'm fucking annoyed because I have to do the whole thing over again. Now I have less. My opinion is less. So that's why I just follow a guide. You're not playing the visual novel, streamer. Fuck you. Nobody plays visual novels. No, a kinetic novel you have no interaction with. It's just a story. A visual novel lets you pick options. Sometimes they have mini games, which are fun. Little Busters is fun with that. It has a little baddie mini game I really like. Busy Person. Busy Person is a visual novel because it has choices. The only real difference of that one is that when you pick every choice, one leads to a bad end. The problem is that game does not have proper save feature. So if you pick the right option and don't get the bad end, and then the autosave locks in, then you can't go back and get the bad end. So I was actively trying to get the bad endings for that one. But you can't be sure you get the bad end until the game's like game over, you fucking idiot. So, but Busy Person, as you know, is obviously... Busy Person is already a goofy game in general. It's intended to be a goofy game. It's meant to be like that, right? But no, I'm talking like I played, again, I played Clannad, I played Little Busters. I've even played Da Capo, if you can believe it. So I played another one as well that I'm not going to tell you because I forgot the name of it. And it's shameful. No, there's a... well, I guess I played Danganronpa. Danganronpa is a visual novel. Phoenix Wright is a visual novel. Phoenix Wright is a visual novel. Alright, where am I? Oh, God. I lost myself. But this is a great way to pit yourself against someone with a harem. Rather than become a part of it and fight for the spot of number one, all the others, why not set up your own camp and fight as equals? Also, when I say harem, I'm not telling you to actually build a harem. That would be moronic. And I have no respect for these morons because all it amounts to is a disgusting relationship that hurts them. And more importantly, hurts many other girls, which can't be maintained by someone with zero charisma sought after by trash, who can't get anyone to like them and can't think of any way to make people like them. No one should have a harem in the real world. And even in the virtual world, a harem should not be seen as paradise. This is the one time I'll not give a suggestion, but a warning. This guy's actually kind of based. Hold on. Wait, he's based. He's based. He's so based. This guy, the S in Saka, stands for based. It has to. He's so right. He's so right. This guy. Alright. What I meant by harem is sort of network that spreads information about you. In other words, it's a new type of strategy. The saturation bombardment strategy. One wingman can act as a smokescreen for you. He/she can help a girl who's fallen in love but doesn't know how to make the realization. He/she can manufacture an illusion for you, letting the other person come to her own conclusions. Then what if you had 10 or even 20 wingmen? Let me tell you, as long as you make the correct moves, they can even complete the strategy for you without you even needing to lift a finger. Word of mouth is good. Word of mouth is good. That's true. Like, hey, do you know that guy? Yeah, he's great. He's a great dude. I know that guy. He fucking... I forgot my wallet, and he spotted me lunch, and he's like, don't worry about it. Like, what a guy. That's what a good guy. I like that John guy. And it's like, oh, so he's a good dude, you know? Like, obviously you're not doing that, so you're not fucking doing that because you think that information is going to make your way to pipe work into somebody you want to know. But you know what they say about good deeds and all that. But, like, obviously if you're on good terms with many people, it means that you're a pretty cool dude. So a lot of people will just nonchalantly be like, yeah, that guy's pretty cool. I like that guy. I like hanging out with that guy. He's a good dude. All right. Where am I? Therefore, I'll assume you've already gotten to know a ton of people. For now, we'll say these are Reimu, Meiling, Chirno, Yuka, and Lily. Lily? What? That one Night Sparrow. Her name is hard to type. Hieda no Aku, Rumia, and Snai. Complaints about the number of people shall be ignored. There's no way you're conquering Marisa without several months of effort. Lily, I'm friends with Lily. Lily and Mistia. So, okay, I guess we're friends now. How the fuck did I meet Lily? When did that happen? It happened in a dream? As for how to deploy your wingmen and how to deal with the relationship between each other, we'll discuss that in preparation 2. The rest of the story is either lost or unfinished. What? There's no preparation 2? How do I utilize my friends? The original word here is babablu, floating cannon, which I have no idea what it is, so I just want something that fits. Google is giving me Gundam stuff, so maybe it's that. I don't know. And yes, the translation I went with is the Star Sector reference. I don't know what that means. Mistia's Chinese name is holy fucking shit. What the fuck? The author says it's hard to type, so he uses her nickname in the Chinese community. which is little broken bones. Oh, that's cute. I think there's in the Isaac mod, one of the trinkets that's tied to Mistia is broken wish bones, little broken bones. It's probably a reference to the fact that Mistia ate her, or Yuyuko ate her and commented on all the little bones that sparrows have. So that's neat. That's neat. I like that. That's a long ass fucking name though. Look at that. Those are complicated characters. Well, maybe not the first character, but like Jesus Christ, dude. This one in particular, like that one is so complicated that I can't even tell what makes up it. It's the font is too small. It's just like a fucking crunched. Ugh. All right. Sakuya Izayoi conditions Hong mailing friend 2 strangers. Oh god, we're on Sakuya. How the fuck could you convince Sakuya of anything? She doesn't even like people. She doesn't like people. As you'll no doubt notice, when you become friends with someone who often appears around your target, it's relatively trivial to become acquainted with her. However, the relationship between you and the girl helping you will affect your relationship between you and your target to a certain degree. In other words, how do we make sure the relationship between you and your target's friend is clear-cut, allowing her to back up your strategy? This is one of the more off-the-beaten-path aspects of this strategy. Actually, I realized putting it like that may have been a bit hard to wrap your head around. I'll elaborate and decide on during the strategy in the future. In any case, the gates of the Scarlet Devil Mansion inexplicably now has an extra chair. That's your chair. You come to the mansion from time to time, sometimes spending the entire day there chatting with the gatekeeper. You listen to her share old stories about the Orient, or you share the latest news around Gensokyo with her, an ordinary carefree chat with a friend. Soon enough, you realize that having a friend like this gatekeeper isn't too bad. You know, honestly, let's think about this for a second, chat. Let's present a realistic situation here. So let's say, so you remember how we talked about a good venture for Reimu is jog to her place? What if your jogging route was the lake? What if you jogged around the lake and you went to the gate? And when you got to the gate, that was like your break point, you know? So you just pulled up, you sat down for a little bit, had some talk with Mei-Ling, and then you went home. You know, you finished your, you know, because you run one length of your path, and you cool down, and then you run back your other length. Like, there you go. It's actually kind of impressive how many different things in Gensokyo, if you just turn into a jogging route, you might actually have some success in getting to know a person with that. All you have to do is jog. Who wants to go jogging? Here's the route. My house to the Scarlet Devil Mansion. And it'll be easy, because you'll just run down the path, you'll reach the gate and be like, oh, I can't go any further. And then you'll talk, and then you'll be like, okay, this is still a pretty good spot, and then you'll do that, and then that'll be your spot now. And you'll be sure to run there every day. And you'll always go there as your break spot. And then you'll shoot the breeze with old Mei-Ling, and then you'll be on your way. And then you disappear for 3 weeks. Oh, yeah. All according to plan. All right. Okay. All right. Remember what I said during Mei-Ling's route? I said not to spend every day at the mansion and try to keep out of the sight lines of the people inside. That is because I don't want some weird route to spring up and mess up your rhythm. But now things are different. Your goal isn't the gate, but the interior of that giant mansion. So stay as long as you can. You notice that the gatekeeper has a boatload of free time in her job. You bring some food or gifts, taking care not to disturb her. You usually become good friends with her, and then a certain person will show up. Oh. Alright. Yes, despite all the free time, she still has a job to do, and just so happens that chief maid of this household is rather strict. Though to tell you the truth, you'll probably run into her naturally during all of your buffoonery with the gatekeeper. But my job is to make the scene more dramatic, so what I have in mind is that one day, when you're visiting the gatekeeper, you're greeted by this sight. The cool and imposing chief maid stands before those big iron gates. The gatekeeper restrained behind her with a look of trepidation on her face. This is like when a parent finds out their kid has been skipping school, and you're the young man that's been encouraging them to do so. You must be John, right? Oh! Oh, Sakuya Izayoi, I presume the elegant chief maid. Mei-ling talks about you a lot. Her goal is for you to stop distracting their gatekeeper and chase you away. Your goal is to use distracting the gatekeeper as an excuse to conquer her. Let me put it this way. Aren't you so much more cooler than her? No. I mean, her goal is to chase you away, while your ultimate goal is to spend the rest of your life together. That's why I need you to express an extraordinary amount of calm and courage before her. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, maybe he's right. Maybe he's right about that. Maybe I am cool for that. That makes me cool. Alright, cool. Where am I? You're polite if nothing else. I must remind you, however, this is the Scarlet Devil Mansion. Its gates are not a hangout, nor is it a place for picnics and tea parties. Therefore, unless you have important business here, I hope that you will stop being a distraction to our gatekeeper. Please don't make my job harder than it already is. Our lady may be cordial, but she's not one for entertaining commoners. If it's the chief maid, I'm sure she'll very politely express that to you. She's quite serious about her job. That's true. That's true. I don't think Sakuya often takes much of an attitude towards people. I mean, she could be curt, but she's not, like, sassy or passive-aggressive. Well, I mean, a little passive-aggressive, but she's not sassy. If I've made your job harder, I apologize, but I've been coming here for many days, and the way I see it, Mei-ling's job is easy as it is unexciting. As her friend, I think I can chat with her without affecting her job in any way. If that won't do either, I'd be willing to guard the gate alongside her. I'm sure she'd be happy to have a helping hand. Bear in mind, as long as you have good intentions and an earnest attitude, there's no reason you won't be able to get the job. Wait a minute! You used me for employment position! This is how I get a job in Gensokyo. I don't want to work in the human village. What are my options? I can go work for the salt merchant. Fuck that guy. Nope. I'm gonna go visit the gate for every day until eventually I can land the job. We work 18-hour shifts with no breaks. That sounds good. You guys want to get high? You guys want a job? You guys want to go? You guys want to go work as the gatekeeper of the Scarlet Devil Mansion? I'm sure the hours are flexible and we're like family. The mansion is often hiring after all, and though humans seldom apply, I don't think humans are... actually, now that I think about it. So, the Scarlet Devil Mansion implies fairies and goblins. Hobgoblins. But they don't have any humans in their employment. But I don't think it's because they don't allow humans to work for them. I think it's just humans don't do that. They had a job flyer. In alternative facts in Eastern Utopia, there was actually a job flyer made for working at the SDM, and it's a parody on Japanese adverts for jobs that often have red flags that the company is bad, like black company kind of red flags. There's certain wording that they use to express things that seem like desirable, but in actuality, it's not. I can't really give you an example. I guess the main one would be like the we're like family one is a big one. That, and I think flexible hours, like basically stuff that seems too good to be true is often like that. But you know, there's a lot of complaints about Japanese work culture in fiction, as I'm sure you've seen in different things. But yeah, that particular advert, let me just pull it up, actually. You know what? While we're talking about it, let's just fucking pull it up. Let me just pull it up. Alternative facts in Eastern Utopia. Okay. Control F, Scarlet. Okay. Where are the ads? Sakuya. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So let's take a look at this. So here's the image. So this is the ad flyer. So you see Sakuya is posing with the fairies, and the fairies are very nervous. So what does it say? So why not work at Gensokyo's most elegant place of employment, the Scarlet Devil Mansion, now hiring fairy maids, so they're not actually employing humans. Benefits: guaranteed food, clothing, and shelter, uniforms provided. This is true. The fairies don't work for money, they work for food and shelter. A charismatic employer and kind superior makes tons of partners, wages negotiable with employer, experience preferred, an enjoyable everyday environment filled with wide smiles, a cozy at-home workplace. So, this and the various other phrases in the advertisement, such as wages negotiable, experience preferred, are notorious as warning signs of exploitative businesses. Reliable employer means autocratic president. Kind superior is boss imposing too many penalties. Tons of partners, bad air without tenderness among co-workers. Wages negotiable with employers. They take every chance to look for little mistakes of employees and make their wage down. Filled with smiles, they force employees to always be positive and obedient. At home, they don't promote cooperative environment. A boss always shouts to scold people. So yeah, this particular advert was created as a parody to that. So yeah, relevant to the conversation. And again, we've seen anime. There's been anime that I'm sure most of us have watched where they kind of poke fun at this kind of work culture. Maybe not even poke fun, more like highlight it kind of deal. Zom 100 is a good example, yeah. Zom 100 is the most recent example I could think of, for sure. Agretzko as well, partially. Agretzko has it's all about her working a job, and her boss is pretty much exactly like this. Where am I? Okay. Hold on, I got sidetracked again. Bear in mind, as long as you have good intentions, the reason you won't be able to get the job, the mansion's not hiring him to apply. I don't see why you can't be the exception. Besides, mailing might think it's a good idea too and put some good words in for you. All in all, if I can get the position, your front line will have reached the Scarlet Devil Mansion's front gate, which means getting into the mansion proper is only a matter of time. Also, make sure to get to the point where you can call the gatekeeper something close, like mailing. This isn't to increase the gatekeeper's affection for you, but rather to leave a trap for the chief maid. As what the trap is, I'll leave it for another time. So I think what this is specifying here is basically leaving the honorific off. I think that's what it means. Because people call her mailing. Everybody calls her mailing. But honorifics would mean that you probably call her mailing-san, right? So if you reach a level of familiarity where you can drop the honorific, you're not going to call her Hong. I don't think anybody would ever call her Hong. I don't think anybody even knows her name is Hong. But just calling her mailing would mean that you're friends. You're good friends. That kind of thing. A lot of these guys start with office workers dying from overwork. I usually they get hit by a truck, but I don't watch isekai, so my knowledge on slop is limited. All right, Sakuya. Recap. You've caught the attention of the target due to frequent messing around at Scarlet Devil Mansion's gatekeeper. The target has also politely warned you not to go near the SDM. Under such circumstances, you put on an arrogant air of, I'm here to conquer you, and fearlessly convey to the target, I'm staying on this hill or dying on it. Then you dig in your heels. Preparations 1. Hold on. Alright. Where am I? To get inside the SDM, you can't hope for a chance encounter with the SDM's mistress, the vampire, nor do I advise you to do so. No, don't talk to Remy. Remy's rude. That vampire, whether intentionally or unintentionally, could manipulate fate and cause you to lose control of your strategy. We must do everything in our power to prevent that might interfere with our judgment. That's one reason to avoid her. Okay. So if you want to get inside the SDM, it's better to not take any shortcuts. So today I'm going to teach you an important trick. This trick isn't for conquering the target of your strategy, but I personally think it's more important than any of the other tricks I've taught you so far. Make sure you pay attention now. This trick is flag breaking. Flag breaking, FB, as its name suggests, is to break a flag. To destroy or avoid a marker pointing towards the route of love. The fact that your strategy involves this means that another girl that's not your target will become relevant to the strategy. In this instance, that girl is Hong Mei. To avoid reaching love with a girl, you could do the following flag breaks arranged in chronological order. Building your defenses before she falls for you. Avoiding her after she's fallen for you. Or things you have to do after she's given up. This is bold of you to assume that Mei-Ling gives a shit about you, but okay, we're gonna assume she does. Because this is the first time this concept is introduced, we'll use the BFB strategies, before flag break strategy, to deal with Mei-Ling for now. Note, you really are going through with this, then you need to be aware of what you're doing and take the following vow. Read after me. I solemnly swear that I will make everyone happy without hurting anyone. I solemnly swear that I will be the victim of everything that is to come. I solemnly swear that I will not obtain love to satisfy myself by hurting another. Don't think something like it's fine if everyone is happy is correct. For some people, no, for most people, love is a form of possession, even if they say otherwise. Nobody would be fine with someone they love being with someone else. Not a single person. Wait a minute, he's kind of based again. Wait a minute, this guy is kind of based. He's so right. So, the moment you decide to use another girl as a stepping stone, you have to be prepared for her to fall in love with you and disrupt your plans. You also need to know that you might hurt her. You can't. Do not take this lightly, okay? If you're really determined to pursue your target, let me add something. Your target has to be set in stone. If you can't even be sure about that and constantly flip-flop between her and someone else, then you're scum. Please don't talk to me ever again. Then you must be prepared to cut ties with this girl. Sometimes you have a bigger responsibility towards the girls you've harmed on the way than your target. But the above is just the worst case scenario. Being prepared means you need to set boundaries. Stay calm, and most importantly, don't try to run away. If you follow my instructions and conduct the appropriate measures for the BFB, these boundaries won't be challenged, and you won't hurt her as much. Next time, we'll go into detail on how to avoid Mei-Ling's love flag via BFB and maintain a healthy and harmonious friendship with her. This guy hates Harem, and he's right to. Harem is a bad... Listen. Harem is bad, and the reason why Harem is bad is because nothing ever happens. Love triangles are good if they're well written because it imposes character reactions, character relationships, character development. Harems are bad because they don't actually do that. It's just one character. It's multiple characters interested in one person, but nothing ever actually comes of it because the guy can never fully acknowledge it or actually do anything about it. Ever. Now, here's a good example. You know Blue Box? That's right. He's talking about Blue Box. Blue Box is really good. Blue Box has a love triangle in it. And the way it is handled is actually, what it's saying here is actually pretty correct. It's the idea that, like, there's a sense of responsibility that you have for, you know, for the girl whose feelings you can't, what's the word? Reciprocate. Says, so, you know, so seeing the interactions like that, even with the character that you know is not going to win, it's like, you know, you see, like, that's good character development. I think Blue Box is good for that. Blue Box is good because it does have a real love triangle, and it's like, I don't say it's realistic, but it's not like Nisekoi, you know. All right, let's talk about Nisekoi. Nisekoi sucks. All right, it sucks. That is a poster child for how you don't handle a fucking love triangle. That's for sure. There are many other examples, of course. Orimo might be the best. Orimo might be the best example of how you don't do a love triangle, because one of the key hero in there is your flesh and blood sister. But whatever. All right. Anyway, I think what this guy is saying is correct. I think what he's saying is actually quite correct here. Is that, you know, it's like, this is speaking purely from fictional stories, but like, when guy A is interested in girl B and has a good relationship with girl C, but girl C has feelings towards guy A, but guy A is into girl B, and then girl B is, well, I guess I should say girl A, girl B, but you know what I mean. It's one way. It's like it follows, but then there's just nothing. There's just nothing there, right? So it's hard to tell. But if the guy really likes girl A, but girl B really likes guy A is not going to reciprocate the feelings of girl be. But then, like, if usually they're friends, so it's like, it's a hard thing to talk about because it changes their relationship forever. But that it's, you know, it's what makes it interesting. So they really have to think about these things, and they get developed character. Basically, what I'm saying is you should watch Blue Box. It's very good. Or read it. It's not done, but I really like it. I put my streamer seal of approval on it. Alright, where am I? Alright. If you're really determined... Let me see. Okay, I'm on Friends now. Alright. We're on Friends. Here we go. How are your chances of becoming a gatekeeper for the SDM? How do I put this? If you can become friends or even best friends with Mailing, then your chances will increase by around 30 to 40%. So I can't guarantee you'll be able to nab the position, but there's still a possibility. After all, they're reputable and reasonable people. So the chances of them putting you in a tough spot or attacking you isn't zero, but is extremely low. You need to be aware of the obstacles in your path, one of them being the fact that you're human. This means you don't have the power necessary for this position. The other might come from Sakuya herself. Why? Elegant as the chief mate is, she's also a very cautious and meticulous person. Then due to her job and her position, she's the chief mate of the Scarlet Devil Mansion, able to manage the life of living of yokai and keep the mansion full of magic and order, so meticulousness is par for the course. It's also confirmed that essentially Sakuya pretty much carries the entirety of the maid unit of the SDM. They have a lot of fairy maids, but without Sakuya, like, nothing would get done. Sakuya works very hard. It's something that's never really shown, I suppose. Well, I mean, it's shown enough, but I feel like the length of what Sakuya goes through every day to upkeep that giant mansion makes her a very efficient person. It's just a shame. What's a shame, streamer? That her maid uniform just completely kills it. Oh, streamer. Oh no. That's okay. It's just that's a streamer take. Be prepared, chat. Coming there will be a Saturday. Maybe not next week, but there will be a Saturday where you get to hear more of streamers' dog shit opinions. Or maybe they're actually super based opinions and you all agree with me. How about that? Isn't it? It's going to feel really bad when I say something and you're going to be like, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to say something and it's going to be like, chat's going to be like, this guy's opinion is so shit. But then people will be in the chat. They'll fucking, the lurkers, they'll be there. They'll be like, this guy kind of spitting, but they ain't saying anything. They're keeping their mouth shut. Me watching the guy who has an opinion that I share getting flamed for his opinion. Bro is just chilling in the background like he kind of right, but I ain't about to die on this hill with him, you know? We'll see. No, I've been thinking about it. It's a stream I want to do. I have been thinking about it. Not about every character, but I have a cool idea for that, for some streamer opinions. Will they be spicy? Well, they'll be moderately spicy in the sense that it's, you know, they're going to be relevant to the characters more than anything. But who knows? Maybe I'll say something that makes you mad. I'm just got to be prepared for that. A lot of characters after all. All I can say, I suppose, is that it's all for fun. Sure, it's my opinions, but it's all for fun. So bear that in mind before you want to kill me. Okay, where am I? Additionally, she's able to walk amongst yokai as a human, wielding her own style, inducing shock and awe. It's impossible for a girl like her, who had broken the limits of a human, to not act cautiously and meticulously. On top of that, she even has the ability to manipulate time. This means that before her, it's extremely difficult to not slip up. I bet she could even stop time for a few minutes when you're talking to observe your expression and mannerisms, always watching for anything that might give you away. Why? Because she suspects your motive. There can only be one human in the Scarlet Devil Mansion is something that will never cross her mind. The embodiment of elegance wouldn't let bias get in the way of her efficiency. As long as you contribute to the SDM, I'm sure she'll accept you eventually, but now isn't the time. I actually like that line. That line is very accurate, I think, to Sakuya's character. there would not be any form of jealousy towards the idea that there's another human in the mansion. Something like that would never cross her mind at all. I don't think Sakuya really cares. Well, it's weird to say whether or not Sakuya cares about her humanity because Sakuya works for yokai. She works for the yokai. She is a human. She doesn't have very positive feelings towards humans. It wasn't until meeting Reimu and Marisa that she started to open up a little bit more to humans. And also Eiki's lecture in Toho 9 was about her distrust of humans in general. But she is a human, and she is fond of her humanity because in the Toho 8 extra stage, Remy asked Sakuya if she would consider becoming a vampire. And Sakuya said that she doesn't want to be a vampire. She prefers to stay as a human for her entire life, but she did also say that she will spend the entirety of her life with Remilia. So she does view her humanity in the kind of way where she is like, she doesn't want to become a vampire. She doesn't want to become immortal. She wants to live as a human and die as a human, but she's prepared to do so at the side of her mistress the whole way through. So Sakuya is kind of an interesting character because it's hard to figure out how exactly she feels about things. She is a very oddball human who doesn't have a great opinion of humans in general, but when it comes down to it, she still views herself and maybe not prides herself, but she sees herself as a human and she doesn't want that to change. She's very interesting. I think she's very interesting like that. Isn't that neat? Don't you like when your streamer talks about interesting things and is able to quote sources from various different pieces of Toho fiction that is canon? Makes me wish I was actually smart about things that mattered. Maybe just a little bit, but I have a lot of information from Tuhu hanging around upstairs. Okay, where am I? You're likely a human, likely not a threat to yokai, and your bond with Mei-ling is as solid as steel, so she shouldn't have a reason to suspect you, but she'll still keep an eye on you nonetheless. The reason for this is the same as when she first chased you away. Now that you've been to this whole rodeo before, we'll know. If she's already thinking that, then she's played right into our hands. That's right, love, to put it simply, is a state of mind where one's head is occupied entirely with another person. I've mentioned this several times, and I've said that in the beginning. This state of mind might not have anything to do with love at all. Now, even if she only suspects you just a little bit, even if you've left the barest of impressions on her mind, the moment you become someone who is able to get her attention, you have a chance of becoming that sidekick who's always beside her. She won't be moving from the SDM anytime soon, so be patient. Now then, I estimate that you won't get this position. Although Mei-ling isn't exactly the height of competency, her position here is set in stone. They aren't lacking in gatekeepers, nor will they ever be in a situation where they need the help of a human, so what's one human more or one human less? While I really hope something like this does happen, it's just so happened to get seen by the mansion's mistress, who decided to go out for a walk. Then the small vampire goes, your fate isn't half bad, omoshiroi. Do you want to work here? Let him stay here, Sakuya. If not for me, then for you. You need to learn to be practical. Our little dictator giving you a free pass is an impossible fantasy. That's true. It's true. It's okay, because I know what the sternocleidomastoid is now. Do you know what the sternocleidomastoid is? It's the muscle that goes from the back of your ear, down your neck, into your collar. And it took me weeks to remember the word. Sternocleidomastoid. I know what that word means now. Why does it have such a long fucking name? I don't know. Why do you keep saying I can't do this and that here? Frankly, we've always been troubled by your frequent distractions of our gatekeeper. If we let you stay here, the gatekeeper may as well just stop working. My lady wouldn't agree either. I'll do my job properly and not chat with her. No. But Miss Sakuya, no. Please leave. Finishing, the chief maid instantly vanishes without a trace. Man, you've really made her angry, you know? Did I? Oh well, if you want to hang out, you can pay me a visit every once in a while, but don't look at me like that. I get vacations too. I can visit you at the village. Oh, that's true. Don't hold it against her either. Our chief maid is just a bit on the stricter side. She's a nice person deep down. I know I'm not angry at her. On the contrary, and don't tell anyone, I think I've fallen for your chief mate a little bit. Haha, you fell. Wait, what? Sternum? No, the sternum is, where is the sternum? The sternum's in the middle of your chest. The sternocleidomastoid connects to your clavicle. It leads into your sternum, which then goes down the middle of your chest, the opening of your rib cage. I can see my rib cage when I suck in my gut. It's crazy. I can see that shit. You fell for the maid. Alright. I'm down a cup, bitch. Alright. I gotta pee and refill. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Stick around. I'm back. You know, it's a shame that we don't sell the flavored soju here. We only sell the plain stuff, which I guess it works for mix, but like I'd rather just drink it straight from the bottle. All right. All right. Where am I? Where am I? Hold on. Let me get my headphone back in there. Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready? Friends 2. Last time I explained for the first time the concept of flag breaking and gave 3 types of flag break. The BFB, the DFB, and the AFB. So this time I'll be properly teaching you how to deal with an excess of mailing's affection causing us unnecessary troubles, and for this we'll be using the BFB. A lot of times when you become familiar enough with the girl you're using another girl to get close to, I suggest you come forth with her. Just tell her how you honestly feel as a friend. Honesty is the best policy. After all, naturally you want to minimize the amount of heartbreak. When, where, and when you say it is extremely important. But before that, the most important thing is actually turn yourself into someone she won't fall in love with. The first thing is to become best buddies. A relationship that surpasses even lovers. Sometimes love is like that. It just happens. And it often happens when and where it shouldn't. On someone you'd never expect. That's why love is an unpredictable thing. Although I need to clarify something, I'm speaking as a bystander. As someone who's just giving you advice. In other words, if you really get stuck in the dilemma of choosing between mailing, who's your best friend, and Sakuya, who's your dream diva, then that choice is yours to make. When push comes to shove, don't seek my advice, because while I may be part of the reason this has happened, I was just telling you what you have to do in order to get close to Sakuya. Well, pursue Sakuya, end up with mailing. Some would call this an improvement over the situation, wouldn't they? I bet there's at least one chat member who would say that. Where am I? In the end, love is a personal affair. Everything it brings is yours alone, including its risk, bliss, jealousy, and even wrath. That is what I mean when I say you need to be aware of what you're getting yourself into. So talk to Mailing and think positively. Why must she fall in love with you and no one else? She might even just think of you as her little brother. Rein in your imagination. Don't think she'll fall for you just because you're using her or something like that. You know, that doesn't sound kind of positive. All that positive, kind of sad, actually. So let her be your biggest helper. Use the BFB method and turn her into your best wingman. At that point, half your strategy would already be complete. The other half is to create memories. This is a basic element of any strategy. Every strategy will fall through if you and the person you like don't have memories that belong to just the two of you. In other words, you need to start thinking of ways to cross paths with the chief maid. How? Allow me to lay it out for you. Firstly, you're both humans. The obvious how do I become as strong as you is basic common ground with your target. However, you are a human born and raised in Gensokyo, so in that aspect you don't actually have a lot in common. A piece of advice when you're finished finding common ground with the person you like, said common ground absolutely mustn't be something you have no idea about. Touting your flaws and shortcomings to the person you like is like repeatedly shooting yourself in the foot. So don't pick something where your abilities are beyond comparison. Therefore, any strategy that rhymes with get Mailing to have Sakuya train you to become the strongest human is best shelved and only used as a last resort. Okay, now, here's the thing. I agree with that, but I agree with that only because that is not something Sakuya does. Sakuya is not going to train you to become a strong human. No, that doesn't work. Now, getting Mailing to train me to be the strongest human, that works. That works because that's what Mailing does. Mailing knows all kinds of cool shit. But Sakuya is not the kind of character who would become your fucking personal trainer. That doesn't work. Her personality, like she would never do it because there's no time for her to do it. Haha, get it? No, but really, that kind of method doesn't work for a character like Sakuya. Duh. So aside from your humanity, what else is there to break the ice? Indeed, the fact that she's a maid. In actuality, when it comes to Sakuya, things related to her job or even things related to the SDM are what she's most passionate about, not things related to Sakuya herself. She spares no effort in her job as a maid, so again, if you can contribute something to the SDM, then you can look forward to her affection. So what can you do? I can drink. Watch this. That's what I can do. Follow me. We're going to the Kirisami Magic Shop, then we're stopping by Korindo. I'll show you the answer. The rest of the chapters are lost, never completed. I do remember reading more of it. It stops just before the lovers part. What? 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 What the fuck? Thank you, Rin, for the 1,000 bits. I'm sorry to hear it. No, thank you. Appreciate that. It's always nice to learn about new things, wouldn't you say? Give me that $10. Guess where that $10 going? I don't know. I haven't bought a Fumo in a while. Maybe it'll go to a Fumo. Maybe it'll go straight to my rent. We'll never know. Well, I hope your time in the fandom, or maybe even your time outside of the fandom, for honestly, has been good. It's always a great series with many interesting things, and sometimes it's best experienced without the intervention of other people's opinions. I like Toho a lot. There's many interesting characters. Many cool characters indeed. McDougal. I could go eat a burger right now. Alright. Mistia. Oh, here's Mistia. Okay. Friends. There shouldn't be a lot of barbecue stands being run by yokai, so when people think of someone who runs a late night barbecue, a lot of yokai will think of Mistia. In fact, it might even be possible that she runs the only barbecue in the Forest of Magic. What does it mean? It means in a certain sense your target is the center of attention for a small group of people. So, this time I'm going to teach you a new strategy specifically for people who are the center of attention. Behold! The public opinion induction strategy. Public opinion, scientifically speaking, is a combination of the personal viewpoints, attitudes, and beliefs expressed towards a particular topic for a significant amount of people, for the purpose of our strategy through. It's just what you call gossip. Izakaya barbecue. Izakaya is a pub. They sell pub food, and they work a grill. So, I mean, when you grill things, that's barbecuing, right? I don't really know what the term izakaya actually means, but I've always kind of understood it as essentially a pub. Mistia doesn't sell chicken. She doesn't sell any bird-related foods. And do you see the size of her menu in her game? She has quite a big fucking menu to not have any poultry on it. She has a fake turkey, which honestly, that one's kind of weird to me. I get it. Like, she doesn't want to serve anything poultry related, but then she makes fake poultry, like the tofu turkey. I just feel like that's in bad taste. You know, I don't think she should. I don't think she would do that. I do think she would make stand-ins for poultry, but making a stand-in that looks exactly like poultry, I feel like that kind of would go against the whole principle of her serving poultry. You know, I don't like that. Her specialty is lamprey. Well, realistically, the only thing that, as far as I know, the only thing that Mistia actually sells is grilled lamprey and sparrow sake, which we've gotten explanations on both of those in different means. The grilled lamprey comes from the fact that comes from Bohemian Archive in Japanese Red, where Aya mentions that Mistia opened a food stall as a So Mistia's ability causes night blindness. So what she did, or does, I suppose, is she opens her stand, she afflicts people with night blindness, they come to her stand, she sells them grilled lamprey, and the lamprey that she sells, lamprey is supposed to be good for night vision. So she sells you it's good for night blindness. So she sells you the lamprey, you eat it, and then she lifts her ability, and you can see, and it's like, wow, doc, that's some good ass lamprey. So she scams you. But in Aya's article, she mentions that it's frustrating to Aya because, like, her food is actually very good. So, like, Mistia doesn't need to run her scam to sell her lamprey because it's very well made. There's a lot of positive criticism towards her ability to grill. My fucking night blindness be damned, my bird can work a grill. But the sparrow sake. The sparrow sake comes from a chapter in one of the fairies mangas. I don't remember which one. It's either 2 or 3. I don't remember the names. One of them's Oriental Sacred Place. The other one is I don't know. But they talk about sparrow sake and that you could only get it at Mistia's stand. And they tell you the story of sparrow sake was because sparrows helped out a god one time, where woodpeckers didn't because they were assholes. So because of that, the god said that sparrows were allowed to harvest sake from gravestones, and sparrows were allowed to do that, and woodpeckers were doomed to constantly eat the boogs out of the wood, assholes. So sparrows would take sake from offerings, like gravestones, and they would leave them in bamboo shoots and then forget about them. The rice would then ferment, and there you go. Now you have sparrow sake. It's sake that can only be made by sparrows because the type of rice that is used is only allowed to be harvested by sparrows. But sparrows forget. That's also why in Misty's Izakaya, and I think actually, I don't remember if the cup's actually seen in the fairies manga, but the cup is styled as like a cut piece of bamboo because that's where sparrow sake ferments. That's where it becomes sparrow sake. And that is basically Mistia's like main meal. It's grilled lamprey with sparrow sake. Those are the main things that she sells. But the sparrow sake information comes much later than the grilled lamprey itself. And then Misty's izakaya just assumes that she can work many different utensils and cook many different meals. But those are her main meals. So yeah, there's a better explanation of the story in that chapter, I think. But the gist of it is that, yes, sparrows helped the god. The gods allowed them to harvest specific rice. Woodpeckers were told to go fuck themselves. And now sparrow sake is a type of sake that only sparrows can make because of this story, which I think is really cool. I really like Mistia because she's a stage 2 boss who feels like she just exists and then she disappears, as most do. But there's so much additional lore thrown on her for no real reason that it makes her feel like she's a very cool character as a result. She runs a food stand. She's part of a 2-man band, rock band. Like, Mistia has a lot of characterization to her that allows her to kind of slip into a lot of different roles and places throughout the series in different ways. And not just as an extension of Cherno and friends doing some stupid shit, right? Kogasa is similar. Kogasa started out as just literally a relevant character to the entirety of UFO. She has no affiliation with anyone. But then she ends up, she was originally a babysitter. And then she shows up in 12 and she's trying to scare humans. She now hangs out at a cemetery. Turns out she's a master blacksmith. So like Kogasa also got a bunch. Like I like when Toho just gives random characters additional like lore to them that allows them to kind of appear in different facets of Gensokyo life. And Kogasa's a cool one because we know what her main thing is, but we also know that she's capable of like smithing, which allows for so much more to work with. And Misty is the best example of this because she goes from random sparrow in stage 2 to proprietress, as well as being a member of a band. Yeah, I feel like it's stage 2 mostly. Stage 1 is usually throwaway characters, and stage 2 is also kind of throwaway characters, but they get a little more lore to them. Anyway, where am I? Public opinion, scientifically speaking, viewpoints. A late night bar and barbecue is the prime hotbed for gossip, and I'm sure even a yokai small shop is no exception. Broadly speaking, public opinion induction falls under the category of subconscious strategies. Remember the role reversal strategy? It's also a subconscious strategy, but public opinion induction differs from role reversal, in that the latter is to dump all the love onto the other person in one go, a rather forceful approach, while the former is to deftly use and how the subconscious affects one's action. Do note that the strategy is most suitable on someone who is the center of attention. Also make sure this person is in the court of public opinion every day, such as the proprietress who has to deal with her customers daily. Then, how do we put this plan into action? It's easy. As long as you appear frequently appear around the owner. You got 2 appears there. One of those can disappear. Then the yokai who regularly comes to eat and drink will naturally create a public opinion about you. Then in order to stand beside her, you need to become a part of her life. You are going to become her employee and become her sidekick. I'm begging you, ma'am. You have to let me work here. Huh? Why? Because the lamprey you make is too delicious. And I think working here will be the best use of my time. Please leave all your miscellaneous tasks to me. I'm serious. I'll be happy even if it's just washing the dishes. I'm sure she'll reject you on the basis of several reasons. Like seriously, there are so many reasons to reject you, but the main reason shouldn't be because she doesn't want to hire you. That's fine. If you go every night and beg her every day, the effect of the public opinion you create just for being there will be much stronger than if she had happily agreed to your request. Hey, boss lady, the kid suits you. Why don't you look after him instead of gobbling him up? Yeah, although if the kid helps around the shop, I wouldn't be sure who's looking after who. Yep, the kid seems like a pretty great guy. If you don't want him, I'll gladly have him for dinner tomorrow. Hee. The more comments like these, the better. Even if she doesn't acknowledge the relationship between you two, it's still plant a seed of love within her subconscious. However, keep in mind that public opinion induction and role reversal are ostensibly different. The key lays in not betraying your true intentions. Your heart and soul must solely be on becoming part of her shop. Keep your affection for her close to your chest. That's why public opinion is public and not an all-important truth. Remember, this is the most important step to ensuring the strategy goes off without a hitch. Listen, man, working for Mistia seems like it'd be pretty difficult, depending on, but, like, I don't know, it seems like fun. How busy would it be, you know? She cooks, and all I do is serve drink and serve food. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Does she pay well? I don't know. What do you think Mistia... Do you think Mistia would pay you in money? I think Mistia would probably... What she would do... Because if Mistia's izakaya is what we're gonna work off, Mistia's shop opens at 6 and closes at 12. So that means you're gonna be an evening. You're gonna be a bit of a not really a night owl per se, but if you're doing 6 hours, 6 to 12, your schedule's not. You're not gonna be an early riser, right? So I think what an ideal situation here is work for Mistia, and you make a decent amount, and then she makes you some food after your shift, or even she makes you some food for your break. You know, maybe she just, you get it comes out of your pay, which is fine. I'm fine with that. She'll just make you something for to eat, and then there you go. There you go. Now you have income. You have a job. You have sustainability in the world of Tuhu. It's pretty cool, actually. Pain experience. But, well, to be fair, if you live in Gensokyo, how urgent is money, right? Obviously, you'll need some form of income for sure. You can't work for free, but it's, it's a different world. It's laxer, I'd assume, than our world, our real world. Oh, the real world. The rest of the story is either lost or unfinished. I'm not sure if this is the first chapter, but oh well. Rip the Mistia fans. Keine! Oh my god. Oh man, the teacher. No, but I think it'd be like, it could be fun to do. Not like every day. You don't have to do a fucking 9 to 5 schedule with her. You can just, maybe you're free on Wednesdays. And just come down and help her out with her shop. You don't have to work every day. You come down, you help her out for a couple hours, and she treats you to a free meal. Maybe a couple, maybe some extra money. Maybe you make tips without it being indicative of your actual income, unlike the fucking North American continent. Anyway. I have to pee. I'm gonna go pee, and then we're gonna come back, and we're gonna see how we can talk to our teacher. Step 1. Do not, under any circumstance, accidentally call her mom. That's fucked. God damn it. Chat. These shorts are too big, and my waistline is smaller now, so they keep fucking sliding down my legs. Great. Fantastic. Truly. They fit before. They don't fit anymore. Alright, where am I? Ken Kami Shirisawa. Setting. Naturally, if you have already graduated, then there's other routes to conquer, but the purpose of variety and practicality will set you as one of the older students in her school. No, that's bad. Alright. Chill there, Joker. Alright, we don't, this is not good. This is not good. Uh-oh. Listen to me. What does glort moment mean? I don't know what that means. Listen. Keine is the kind of character that you would make the nickname, you call her Teach, but that doesn't mean she has to be your teacher. Alright? Mandatory education in a place like the human village is pretty much impossible due to various reasons. Studying isn't something the kids of the human village necessarily have to go through. Okay, let's assume you're one of the older students, as in you're taking her lessons as an adult. Let's assume that's what this means. We can't compare this to our known like grading metrics for student teacher, alright? I guess you could think of it like college, secondary in general. Alright, where am I? It's pretty simple when you think about it, though. A carpenter's son should focus on learning how to use a hammer, and a seamstress's daughter should focus on learning how to operate a sewing machine. In the grand setting of Gensokyo, the humans of the human village have no need for an abundance of knowledge. Thus, their society is quite simple. Survival is the greatest thing a human could ask for, so kids have no need to learn history in a place like school. You know, it's actually canon that the kids of Kaine's temple school don't actually, like, care about school. Kaine's school is not actually doing very well. It mentions it in an article. I think it's Bohemian Archive. She talks to Aya directly about it. And Keine actually makes an interesting comment about how humans only care about history if they can use it to their own ends, their benefit. Now, that's an interesting comment. So, most of the humans in Gensokyo don't actually care about the history of Gensokyo. They don't find her lessons interesting. But the ones that would are only interested so they can use it for their own advantage, which is like, damn. Now, there's apparently some kind of secret fucking society in the human village that supposedly exists. I don't know, dude. There's so little information on that. It's like an offhand comment, but nothing's ever really been done with it. So, yeah. Okay, now it's time to discuss one of the hardest targets IMO to conquer. Keine Kamishirasawa. Wait, I missed the line. Though they might be too dismissive of the way to go about it, so we're not going to dive any deeper into this. We'll just assume you've enrolled into her school. What kind of person do you think is hardest to conquer? A dangerous queen? A journalist you barely see? An heiress who endlessly reincarnates? Well, admittedly, they each have their own difficulties, but in the grand scale of things, Kaine's role means that while she won't be dangerous, haughty, cold, or distant also means she's not easy to conquer. Well, if you want my opinion, I think the hardest kind of person to conquer for me would be a straight guy. I feel like that would just be impossible, even. You know, I think that would just be kind of impossible. I would have to give up immediately. Because, well, for one, he's straight, and for two, I'm straight. So, like, how would we manage to pull that off, do you think? The reason is because she's a teacher. Okay. The reason you're capable of starting a romantic relationship with yokai many classes above you is because there's always some suitable way to close that distance. There is also times when there is no different class-wise to begin with. Just barriers you put up yourself psychologically. However, if the other person has the role of teacher, and like it or not, there will be a huge gap that is student and teacher between you. This gap means that while she may think you're cute, interesting, etc., or even like you to an extent, she'll never think of you anything close to your ultimate goal of lover. The relationship between student and teacher is one of the major sanctities, second only to ethical concerns. A vastly different obstacle to overcome put in place by society itself. Fucking society! Always ruining my god. How did I highlight that? What? How did that highlight? I don't know how that highlighted. Society bottom text. How dare you? You can't hit the teacher. You can't do it because they're a teacher. Fuck. It's not right. Logically speaking, a teacher, excluding your family members, would probably be in the top 3 of the list of people who understand and care about you. Number 1 is that a list of in your family, of course. Number 2 would be your significant other. The reason teachers place third is because they're substantially hard to put under significant other. Pretend I never said anything if your parents are teachers. The reason it's so hard for you to become lovers with your teacher is because of one fatal reason. Your teacher does love you, but it's a pure sort of love that hardly has anything to do with romance. And it's also nigh impossible to turn into romance. Her love for you is only natural and has been mostly set in stone from the day you become student and teacher. In her eyes, you're nothing more than a student, a child. You really want to stretch it, a friend. Nothing more and nothing less. Even worse, this love came of her own accord, not as a consequence of your actions. Adding on to that, you'll be spending as much time, if not more, together than with your family. This breaches 2 taboos within a strategy, losing the initiative and spending too much time, and on top of that, these 2 taboos were broken the moment you became student and teacher. Alright. So, a student doing everything you can to curry favor with her would just make you a good student and never a lover. Did you know there was a girl, it was actually the last girl in the second season of World God Only Knows, who was a student teacher. So, I've seen this before on The Late Show. So go to school only after you've thought all this over. How hard can it be to get to know a teacher after all? But don't get careless. If you play your cards straight on the very first day, then it's already over. Yes, you need to skip school. Skip school for the entire day. So, you're telling me that we have to enroll into her school? And then we have to skip the first day. While skipping school, you became acquainted with Marisa, Remo, and Sanai as my role model. God 1 has taught me. Who the fuck is God 1? What? If you ever date a teacher type character, the biggest taboo is confining yourself into the role of student and teacher and fighting on the bloody battlefield of academics, hoping to be the one that sticks out the most. In truth, if you want a teacher's attention, then there's 2 extremes to choose from. Be a good student or be a bad student. Isn't that neat? This coincidentally lines up with what I've been drilling into you. A good or bad impression doesn't matter, as long as you have left an impression at all. As we can see, there are a few tried and true strategies that have stood the test of time. Chat, it's actually surprisingly hot in my room, or my cup is forming condensation. But, like, it's not hot enough that I'm sweating or have to have my fan on, but it's hot enough that my cup is condensating. That's crazy. Isn't that neat? No. This coincidentally lines up with what I've been drilling into you. A good or bad impression doesn't matter as long as you've left an impression at all. As we can see, the few tried and true strategies that have stood the test of time. Back on topic. You're not skipping school to go and play for real. Frankly, Keine has no obligation to force you into going to school if you do decide to skip it. Mandatory education is not a thing in Gensokyo. The reason a school can exist in the human village at all is because its residents already have their basic needs fulfilled. So now they're pursuing a higher state of moral thinking, essentially. Society is progressing forward. Keine has her own reasons too, of course. Despite running a school in human society, she herself is not completely human. She's fond of humans, yes, but she bears no responsibility towards them. Put another way, if you want to use skipping school to get her attention, you're still a long ways off. Oops, almost went on another tangent. Here's another piece of advice for you. Don't hope to beat Mike Tyson in the ring. Sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? So what do I mean? I mean, I haven't played the original Punch-Out, but I know some guys who have, in fact, beaten Mike Tyson in the ring. You know, I can think of a few. What I'm saying is, during your strategy, if you have no confidence in your abilities, don't pit yourself in what the other person is best at. Pick your fights in other more crucial areas. This critical area can't be completely unrelated to your target, but, as I said before, also can't be your target's forte or specialization. In other words, it's a person's gray area. Using Keine as an example, her domain is her job, teaching. Okay. You pretty much stand no chance under the pressure of this area, so we can consider this to be black for Keine. And something that had absolutely nothing to do with her. Like Mailing's job, gatekeeping, would be completely white for Keine. And the gray area is domain that is related to her, but also something she doesn't pay much attention to. Currently, as you're one of her students, your relationship is bound by special circumstances. Thus, we can say that everything black for you is gray for her. And what do we do? First, you need to lay the foundations. Get to know your three bodyguards. Become friends with them if possible. Not for insurance while doing battle against yokai and whatnot, but something even deeper. So what does the gray truly lie? Where does it lie? It's time to go back to an old friend. The last time you did this was to conquer a young girl, and while you are doing the same thing, it's different from last time. You have to steal another book from the hiatus estate. The rest of the story is either lost or unfinished. Also, this chapter has no subtitle for some reason. I need more info! I need to steal another book? Let me steal another book. No, I need more info. How does stealing a book do anything here? This could be referring to a character from an anime with a given name, but I have no idea what it could be, so I'm translating directly. Alternatively, it could be referring to the main character of the world God only knows. Well, the world God only knows, Katsuragi Keima, his title, he's known as the God of Conquest. So it's possible that, considering there was already a reference to it, it's possible that this was a reference to specifically that. Because that's why he was chosen, because he's very good at Gal games. He's very, very good at them. That's why he was chosen to do it. He's known as the God of Conquest. He can conquer any virtual heroine that exists. And then he has to utilize all his dating sim skills in the real world for real women to find loose souls. It's actually very good. If you're interested, I would recommend it. I would actually recommend it. It's very good. The manga is finished, so you can get the full thing. You can watch the first 2 seasons. In fact, I would recommend you watch the first 2 seasons. And then if you like it, you can read it. You can read the thing. Because the first 2 seasons are pretty faithful to manga adaptation. That said, The World God Only Knows actually does have a dub. And the main characters in the dub are very good. Keima's VA for the dub is very, very good. If there was ever a reason to watch an English dub, it would simply be for him. However, the majority of the other characters in the series aren't that great. It's kind of a shame to say. But just for Elsie and Keima, like specifically, just for those 2 characters alone, it's worth watching the dub for. Because in the sub, he's kind of nasally. Like, Keima's kind of nasally. He sounds like a nerd. But in the dub, he sounds pretty suave. Like, he sounds good. He has a great voice. So, I only ever watch The World God Only Knows in its dub. Also, I specified the first 2 seasons. I think the 3rd season did get dubbed. But the 3rd season it skips a bunch of stuff to get to the Angels arc. And one of the characters relevant to the Angels arc is skipped over, so you're just supposed to like know about her for some reason. It's good though, but you're missing information if you don't read the manga at that point. I would recommend it. If you're into it. You can see some strategies, quote unquote, being put into work with some supernatural aspects to them. I think it's very good. It's one of my favorite series. So give it a shot, and then let streamer know how it was. And if you say, streamer, that was awful, then, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Interlude 4, about Saka. Tell me, do you think Saka is good at love? There was once a girl that Saka liked. He liked her for 13 years. In these 13 years, she had swapped boyfriends a total of 6 times. Saka was the 4th as well as the 6th. When Saka was dumped as her 4th boyfriend, Saka felt that he lacked an understanding of women, that his knowledge and love was lacking. Oh right, at this time Saka had not yet become Saka. So Saka joined the fandom. He started playing gals. He watched girlfriends. In other words, Saka gradually became Saka. 4 years later, Saka met this girl once more. Before Saka could do anything, she fell into his embrace. A girl he had liked for more than 10 years, the girl who had dreamed about every night, fell into his embrace. And if you were in Saka's shoes at the time, how do you think you would feel? Let Saka tell you how he felt. He felt nothing. That was the time when Saka realized he had already changed, gone too far down this path. So far that she could never be caught up to Saka. The moment Saka realized all this, the moment Saka realized he didn't feel happy in the slightest when she said she had loved him, only then did Saka realize. Saka even began to rethink the situation. Why would a girl change boyfriends so many times and ultimately end up back at the side of the person who had always been waiting for her? Why would she wait until she lost her innocence before remembering whose arms she once wished to be held by? Simple, it was too late. Saka had realized too late, acted too late, joined the fandom too late, and for her, it was too late to say anything. If Saka hadn't become Saka sooner, maybe I wouldn't have fallen for a girl like her. Maybe after I became the 4th, I could have stopped the 5th and the 6th from happening. Maybe she wouldn't have had to be hurt, and I wouldn't have hurt myself. So this time, Saka decided to dump her. As if he had gone mad, he decided to sever all communication with her overnight. Saka would never again look back at his past. It was during this that Saka started this thread. So do you think Saka is good at love? Let me tell you this. No one should be good at love, because love isn't something you need to collect or master. What Saka wants you to know by telling his story is this. Maybe you think it doesn't matter how many times you fall in love. Maybe you think there are many people in life waiting for you to love them. But the moment you let someone go, they will never come back. There's no second chances. No one will give you one. Saka started this thread not to tell you how to love or what to do when in love. Saka started this thread because he wants less people to go through what she and the past Saka went through, so that less people will hurt each other. After all, love is something that's supposed to bring you happiness, isn't it? Basically, to become a manga and all that, become an otaku. A series called that is mentioned here, but I can't find information about it. It could be a drama or an anime, I'm not sure. It's probably a drama if you can't find any info on it. Reisen Udongen Inaba. Condition, friends with Reimu. Okay. Alright. Okay. Pre-strangers. We'll be trekking into dangerous territory. This time. I don't mean the yokai in there. No, I meant the journey itself. The bamboo forest of the lost isn't called that for no reason. It's quite easy to get lost in there, I tell you. That'll be the first obstacle in your way to studying medicine. Yes, you heard me. You're going to be studying medicine again. What do you mean again? There's no doctor in Gensokyo more famous than Eirin Yakokoro. I'm sure anyone in Gensokyo that's interested in medicine has asked her to teach them, but virtually none of them ever make the cut, mainly for a few reasons. One, different races. It's pretty common in Gensokyo. Humans that aren't willing to interact with non-humans, and non-humans that dislike humans are the rule, not the exception. So there's one round of people eliminated. Two, the bamboo forest of the lost. Humans are constrained by objective facts. A human will always be a human, and some humans don't take even a single step outside the human village, let alone trek all the way to the bamboo forest to study medicine. Three, other elements. Preservation, intention, status. There are many obstacles on your journey to study medicine. So, what is the correct way to get your foot in the door? The answer is a referral. Yes, while others can only dream of studying medicine. No, getting direct access to Aante, you have potentially to make it a reality. Because you're friends with the Shrine Maiden, tis what we call unspoken rules. She's not exactly buddies with the Aante faction, but now the incident has passed, anything the Shrine Maiden says and anyone the Shrine Maiden recommends will likely still be given a chance regardless. This is how you go around all the obstacles and go straight to your target. The Reimu recommendation. That's okay. So, the next time you're having tea with the Shrine Maiden, ask her something like this. Hey, I want to be a doctor. Huh? Why a doctor? Because unlike you people, we mortals actually have to worry about our bodies, and your shrine doesn't even work half the time, so it's better to have a couple more doctors. If you want to be protected by the gods so bad, the Yokai Mountain is right over there. Sheesh, I'm sorry my shrine doesn't meet your standards, I guess. No, seriously, that wasn't a joke. Do you have any ideas? Well, how much do you like rabbits? Bunnies? I like bunny. So, after our Tri-Mated dumps you into the rabbit's nest, I'm talking about A and Tay, you'll be able to come and go into this area as you please. I doubt Eirin will tutor you directly, so you'll be an intern learning alongside the other rabbits for a while. You'll probably also be asked to plant some carrots, sweep the floors, do the laundry, sweep the floors. Anything that's not actually studying medicine, basically. How do you spend your internship is up to you, but you need to fit in with the others as soon as possible. After that, it's time to say hello to your target. Hello. You know, until now, you haven't even seen the target once, mainly because if you do see her, there's probably no way to cure you. There's no easy solution to this, admittedly. I tried to follow what Lady Aku has written in her book as much as possible to come up with a solution, but, like, just take a look at what she's written. I can't read that. Which is to say, if your sight lines ever cross, you'll go insane. Her words won't properly reach your ears either, which means having a normal conversation with her is more or less impossible. But is it really? The rabbit's ability is to be capable of manipulating insanity. Since it says manipulating, I wager that it works both ways. If she can push one under the brink of insanity through the manipulation of waves, then she should just as well be able to make one calm. That said, Lady Aku also wrote Rumia as capable of manipulating darkness, but we actually have eyewitness accounts that say even Rumia herself has no idea how to expand it. In other words, it's a passive ability. Wait, you mean to tell me that Aku's book telling people about yokai are dangerous doesn't fearmonger yokai abilities? Whoa, I can't believe this! Fucking Aku. She hates fairies. She's a fucker. Lady Aku ought to publish a revised version sometime, hopefully with clearer explanations. Whoops, didn't mean to go off topic. Okay. This is the yokai rabbit's insanity, a passive ability. Well, according to what Aku wrote, glorp. This states that after she's done selling her medicine in the human village, she disappears in the bamboo village as if she's trying to avoid humans. What's worth noting here is, firstly, we can say with certainty she bears no hostility towards humans. Secondly, is the fact that she can sell medicine in the human village means that she has the ability to enter and leave the village without harming anyone, even transacting with some of them. Think about it. There's no way she can sell medicine without interacting with humans, right? However, she then quickly, as if avoiding humans, leaves the human village. Why is that? If she has some way of preventing humans from going insane, if she can freely control her ability, she shouldn't have any reason to be afraid. Nor would she have any reason to avoid humans unless there's some other reason behind it. Is there a reason that she can get close to humans but also has to avoid them at the same time? Yep, that reason is that key. The key behind the start of your strategy. Honestly, when you arrive at A&T, you might be unexpectedly popular among the rabbits because having a guest like you, Pog me, is more or less something that happens once only every 1,000 years. There can't be that many people studying medicine at A&T through the Shrine Maiden. Also, whether it's from the minor rabbits or from Lady Eirin herself, you'll likely receive a plain, not too serious warning. It's better to keep your distance from the chief rabbit, lest your life be in danger. In fact, the Shrine Maiden might remind you as well, out of concern for your safety. By the way, if you see a rabbit that's taller than the rest, stay away from her, and whatever you do, don't look at her eyes, you'll go crazy. And then either because of these warnings or because of that reason she keeps to herself, the two of you are fated to become opposites. And here's something you need to know. Sometimes love is like a magnet. Being opposites aren't necessarily a bad thing. You know the drill. Rest of the story is lost or unfinished. Target 17, Kanako Yasaka. Yeah, alright. I gotta pee. Yeah, Kanako. Yeah, okay. Sure. That's gonna fucking happen. What are you waiting for, Gary? Think of the power and influence. You're not doing it for power and influence. You're doing it because you love her, you fucking asshole. Come on now. Kanako Yasuka. Conditions, moth ended. I hope I didn't have to end it. Friends with Reimu, Rumiya, Chirno, Sanai. Why do I have to be friends with Rumiya and Chirno? Strangers. It is time for a human to conquer a god. What? Sanai? She's barely been a god and doesn't have the sensibilities of one. She doesn't count. End of discussion. How fucking dare you? There was no reason for that. Absolutely no reason for that. That whole line didn't even need to exist. By God, I really mean a god that has lived for many, many years. What? One that has been through sacrilege and worship. One that has won over the people's faith, held as sacred in the past and even today. And Kanako Yasuka, towering above all, is one such being. Before we get into the strategy, or rather before we start preparing anything, we need to keep two things in mind. The other person is a god, and a god means a god more godly than other gods. In layman's terms, she's one extremely stubborn about faith. You could even say it. She worships faith. Okay. Okay. So, for our purpose, this time, keeping a clear boundary between yourself and the Moria Shrine by not worshipping her is, well, I can't say you won't have a chance, but I can't guarantee your chance of success either. Another thing is, other person's experience, knowledge, and age all far surpass your imagination. The difference between her and other yokai is she's not just long-lived. The lifespan of a god is fundamentally different from the lifespan of a yokai. A yokai's life is like Momiji Unubashiri. One game of shogi and there goes 10 years of her life. There's no ups and downs, just a carefree everyday life without any worries. A god, on the other hand, and especially an ambitious god like her who can't stand falling behind, won't do that. If she has to live for hundreds of years, thousands of years, she absolutely won't squander it. A god is quite serious when it comes to work. In other words, God should the type to have vast connections and have a thorough understanding of the human heart as well as how to manipulate it. Speaking of hearts, mine had a stroke when reading that. So I'll give it to you straight. This conquest will be very, very easy. Because you are the most terrifying weapon of all, unexpectedness. Though that easy has a couple asterisks next to it, there's actually a lot you have to do. Before meeting Sanai, you need to first spend some time making friends with many people. To tell you the truth, the moment you became friends with the Red Shrine Maiden, you more or less gained access to every yokai in Gensokyo. Keep that in mind, it'll be important. Sorry, so step 1, become Reimu friend. Step 2, the world is my oyster. I get it. Hey, I heard that ex-yokai is super cute. I want to say hi to her. If your bond is solid enough that you can talk so shamelessly like that, you can even arrange a visit with Yuko. The dead Yuko, I mean kitty face. What do you mean? What? What does that mean? What does that mean? Basically, once everything is in order... Wait, are you telling me that she's gonna kill me? Oh, wait a minute. I think this is implying that she doesn't. It doesn't mean that if I said that, she would actually fucking kill me. Enter the Sanai route. Once you've gotten to know each other and reach friends 1. Yeah, I guess I should go to the Warrior Shrine, huh? If you say it like that, you'll probably be able to join the Moria after school. I mean, Moria Shrine as a VIP. Kanako Yasuka isn't the type to sit idly by. Unlike the other god of the Warrior Shrine, she exudes majesty and doesn't trifle with small details. Surely she'll welcome the new devotees in person. She might even put a lot of effort into it. If you want the god to notice you in times such as this, you'll need to do something very out of line. For example, while everyone is bowing, scream as loud as you can. Lady Kanako, please marry me. Yeah, I don't think that's how that works. I get what you're going for. the idea you're going for is to be different, but you're not coming off very well here. Friends 1. Who the hell does this guy think he is? Who the hell does this guy think he is? Who the hell does this guy think he is? Alright, that works. Where am I? Get him. How dare he disrespect Lady Kanako. Watch your mouth, you scoundrel. How dare you have unworthy thoughts of Lady Kanako. I'll bet anything that if you're brave enough to shout that, everyone around you is going to drag you by the collar and beat the daylights out of you. They'll beat you up so badly your family won't even recognize the body. Stands can be quite scary sometimes. Okay. They're going to beat the shit out of me. Cool. So what's the payoff for this? What's the payoff for me getting my shit kicked in? But of course, Kanako will put a stop to them without question. Firstly, she's a god. A god cherishes their faithful. She won't allow her devotees to fight amongst themselves. Secondly, this is a shrine, so creating a ruckus is prohibited. Therefore, my guess is that the god before you will show a most loving expression like a mother calming down her child. Please, there's no need to fight. This young man is as faithful to me as everyone else. I'm sure he loves me just as much as you do. He just couldn't find an appropriate way to express it. Isn't that so, Mr. Oh, you must be Sanai's friend. While making friends with Sanai, you've been to the shrine several times. Kanako will know about you, what you look like, etc. Either through Sanai or her own eyes. Or rather, I should say, you need to have her know about you so that you can slowly differentiate yourself from the other devotees. I say differentiate and not distinguish because at the end of the day, you're still a devotee. Yes, even if you're close with Sanai, you're still just a devotee. With so many devotees around, how hard could it be to get close to a warm and lively girl like her? How do you know the devotees aren't here for Sanai? That's true. Most of them are there for her or the frog. Chad, if you were there, who would you be there for? I would be there for the frog. And how do you know I haven't been given them my guidance? Well, let's go back to Kanako. She'll give you a chance to disengage. Gods are quite reasonable in how they go about things. They turn big incidents into small ones. It's better to unite their shrine and faith and progress their faith. The bunny frog. Yes, I'm Sanai's friend, but I really, really am in love with you. If marriage is too sudden, please become my girlfriend. Mwahaha, like how I'll let this hag get her way. Trust me, you'll be fine. Hey, listen, do you think she'll be unhappy that someone likes her? Well, you truly do speak your mind freely. I don't get devotees like you often. Of course, as an old-fashioned god who puts her devotees first and foremost, she'll show her generous and benevolent side. I doubt she's lying about not getting devotees like you often enough, though. Then, prove you're worthy of my favor with your own strength, mortal. And then she'll make sure to display her magnanimity, as well as remind you of your position by pitting you as a mortal. But above all, she'll wear a gentle demeanor and act as though she were talking to a child. Like when you loudly proclaimed you'll cook dinner as a child and your mom just smiled at you, not as you. Right now, the be motherly role Kanako is playing, and the only one reason, because she's a god, she must maintain appearances in front of her devotees. Hats off to her, she's definitely a god. Unfortunately, I see right through her. Do you know how after the other devotees scatter with contempt and indignation, of even envy or admiration in their eyes, when you're quietly kneeling alone in the hall watching Kanako leave, when she returns to the inner hall and back into her own room, back into everyday life with Sanai and the other god, when she mentions you without thinking, when she talks about what happened as a joke, making Sanai beet red, when the Moria family finish dinner and the moon hangs in the sky, when Kanako is the only person left in the room, do you know what she, lying in her familiar bed, will be thinking of? You don't know, which is why I am here to tell you. Just like cherry blossoms silently fluttering under the pavement, light as they are, collision are bound to make a sound, and your voice and face are sure to appear in her mind. But also trust when I say that it won't be strong. I mean as strong as when a 17-year-old girl is confessed to, then you don't need a strategy at all. Haha, what a simple child. Muttering that, she sways her dark purple hair and closes her eyes, but doesn't sleep sideways because that's uncomfortable when you have big breasts. Is that true? Is that true? Is sleeping on your side uncomfortable when you got big boobs? Can anyone confirm? Can anyone confirm? Please confirm. And then the second day. Good morning, Lady Kanako. Please go on a date with me. The rest of the story is lost or finished. Target 18. Wrigle Nightbug. Condition. Friends at Reimu or Sanai. Friends with Chino Letty. Route. Fake ending complete. What do you mean fake ending? Must be winter. What? Huh. Strangers. Many named yokai and fairies live within the forests of magic. I have sufficient reason to believe that Cherno is one of those fairies who actually have a network of friends. Pure and simple idiots are usually very likable, and relationships with them are often progress more smoothly. Naturally, I also have sufficient reason to believe that Lady Whiterock is one of the stronger yokai among the bunch. She's a bona fide Yuki-onna after all. She's on another level compared to your average yokai. So I'm telling you now, this strategy only works during the winter, and you need to have the above 2 chips on your table. Before we go any further, though, let me explain what I mean by fake ending completed. Okay. What I mean is following the strategy I gave you regarding Letty, but at the end, when you're slouched against a tree, you'll do something different. Instead of expressing I love you, you need to express I'm sure we'll become the very best of friends. Wait, we didn't get that part. We didn't get that part. Why am I slouched against a tree? And why am I changing my answer? I'm lacking critical information. Oh, thank you, Manje, for the resub. In other words, for her to become part of your strength and not your target, you need to quit while you're ahead. Just become ordinary friends with her, at least a friend that's willing to back you up. That's what fake ending completed means. It'll show up in the future. I doubt that. Truthfully, this target isn't hard to conquer. In fact, the strategy is even easier than the ones from the first playthrough. Believe me, I put her in the second playthrough and limited the strategy to win her for a reason. The reason being, we'll be using the class oppression strategy. I don't know what that means. Do humans have no classes to speak of? Considering the results of love, I personally don't think there is. However, during the process, I do think there's a separation of classes. Especially in a place like Gensokyo, up until now, all the strategies I've taught you are from bottom up. You had to break the barriers that are your positions in class to date someone of the upper echelon people of this world, and even start a relationship with them. But this time, with the first playthrough under your belt, you can now try appealing a strategy from a different perspective. She's an ordinary insect yokai with the ability to control insects. Frankly, if we were to classify her, she's probably going to rank 1. She should remain in the forest of magic during the winter, but she won't be as lively as she's during other seasons. The insects under her control won't have a lot of strength to spare in the winter either. That's to say, Wrigle is at her weakest during winter time. But whether or not she's weak is irrelevant. You're still playing the same role as you have at Letty Whiterock, guarding the forest. So you and Letty have also saw your differences and even become friends in a sense. So what you need to do is ask Letty. Hey, don't stare at me like that. It's horrifying. Okay, no jokes. You wouldn't happen to know where that firefly yokai is, would you? Which one? The firefly, the book says her name is Wrigle Nightbug. She should be staying in the forest, right? No idea. I have no interest in insects. If anything, I detest them. Knowing how she is probably the most likely answer she'll give. Besides, she only appears during the wintertime. She really might not know where Wrigle lives. That's within expectations, of course, but you still need to know regardless. There's a reason behind it. Fine, I'll ask Cherno then. You know that ice fairy? Yeah, she's pretty cute. She'll be over the moon for several days if you give her food. How adorable. Well, she is just a fairy. Right, that's true, but she's hopping and flapping everywhere all the time, and it does seem like she knows a lot of people, so she's bound to have some clues. Okay, it's decided. No attacking humans while I'm not here. There, I said it. Bye. Good. Get out of my hair already. After laying the groundwork with the Queen of Frost herself, pay Cherno a visit. After you found her, have her take you to Wrigle. If all goes well, you'll soon be face to face with the tiny leader of insects. Wrigle, someone's looking for you. Oh, Cherno, come in, huh? A human, what are you doing here? As you might expect, Wrigle is not fond of humans. Humans that genuinely like insects are few and far between, and nobody likes having too many insects around. Therefore, what you've come here to do is simple. Okay, don't panic, but my name is John, and I'm Cherno's friend. He gives me lots of delicious food. I guess that works too. The human village has stationed me here to guard the forest of magic. So I'd like to discuss some things with you. Would it be possible to have some insects leave the human village alone come summer or spring? What? Why do I have to do that? The insects are free to go wherever they want. Insects are so much more adorable than humans. That's why I'm here to negotiate. If you want anything in exchange, just say it. Can't we make this work? You can do it with the flick of a finger, can't you? It's not like the insects are treated very well in the village. It's pretty much get squashed on sight. That's not what you want, right? Ergen. I said no, so no. I won't follow the instructions of a human. Yep. That's the extent of your first encounter with her. You should withdraw for the time being. There's still a long ways to go in the strategy, and this is the only time she'll take that tone with you, because next time you come here, you won't just be bringing someone like Cherno. Wrigle Nightbug. A human petitioning a little queen of insects. No problem calling her that, right? To have insects leave the human village during the summer and spring by itself is a reasonable request. Most insects won't have any benefit to a society on the level of the human village, aside from ranching silkworms for silk. And some application in winemaking and medicine, insects are mostly thought of as a negative phenomenon. Besides, infestations during springtime is an issue in itself. The humans have the protection of the autumn and harvest goddess, Sis. So agriculture isn't effective, but their measures of preventing infestations are still stuck in the Stone Age. Thus, the insects really do leave the village alone. It'll be a win-win situation for everyone. Why am I talking about this? Because it makes sense. It's the perfect cover for your true intentions and actions. As they say, a sniper never reveals themselves to their target beforehand. If you don't understand what I'm saying, let me ask you this. Have you ever been asked by your crush, why are you so nice to me, or something similar? Let me tell you, generally speaking, if a girl is asking you that, around 60% of your strategy has already been exposed, and there are only 3 situations where they would ask that. 1, she wants you to confess. 2, she wants to ascertain your reason for getting close to her so she can decide whether or not to have you piss off. Or 3, she didn't intend anything by it. Great! I'm glad that can only mean anything. So regardless of her reasons, and regardless of whether or not your crush on her has been exposed, the moment she says that, let me ask you, are you absolutely confident you can contain it? Will that one question cause your heart to beat faster and faster? Will that one question, the way she's looking at you, the way she's breathing, and your male hormones throwing you under the bus, cause you to lose all rationale and decision-making ability? Unless you're certain that your strategy is at an end, it's time to shoot for the goal by telling her how you really feel. Or you're using this as a way to progress into another stage. This is a critically dangerous situation and will undoubtedly prove fatal. You need to know that a lot of people can't help themselves and expedite their strategies here, forcibly ending the game by confessing or laying their intentions bare in one go, and are forced to come clean. Let me tell you about the 2 outcomes of this situation. 1, she politely rejects you. Dad, why must you roll all the way over there? 2, more optimistically, this is precisely what she wanted, and you 2 successfully hold hands. Oh, great. Incidentally, you also increase your chances of a breakup by 20%. As for why this makes a breakup more probable, the most basic explanation is that you've lost the initiative, and there's deeper reasons behind it. We could talk about that at a future date. Yeah, okay, brother. In any case, I won't suggest... What? I won't suggest that I will pray be not exposed. However, you a human getting close to a yokai for romantic purposes is always quite hard to see through. Tacked on a sufficiently appropriate reason, I'm sure most yokai, even beings greater than yokai won't be able to see your true intentions. Remember, The moment it's revealed that you want to start a relationship with these non-humans, they'll get the biggest emotional whiplash they've ever felt. And that's the key to you steering the relationship into a romantic one and succeeding in your strategy. Erica, whatever you do, do not let your romantic intentions slip. Also, don't visit Wriggle's house often, though. I'm sure even if you don't go often, your impression will surely remain in her mind. As the guardian of the forest, you've probably also gotten to know many of the yokai or fairies that are active during wintertime. Furthermore, and most importantly, you have Letty. So why would I need Wriggle? I'm sure your safety is still guaranteed. Never forget you stay in touch with Letty and chat with her often, remain good friends, and frequently bring up Wriggle with your plan to chase out the insects. And then, love aside, every decisive event will awaken on the brink of winter's end. The rest of the story is either lost or unfinished. Dayose / Lily White. Condition: Tyrant of the Forest of Magic. What? There are 2 targets this time. No, I'm not telling you to 2-time. I'm saying the strategy can be used on the 2 of them, so I've grouped them together for everyone's convenience. Have you noticed how the target is given you so far seem to be in reverse order? Well, that's because knowing some of the more powerful characters beforehand makes conquering the weaker characters that much easier. Naturally, there's also a time where we slowly gather up power and then take on the strong one in one go. It all depends on circumstance, you see. So you might be wondering, what is the Tyrant of the Forest of Magic? In theory, it's a position where you can freely enter and exit the Forest of Magic without being in any danger. If you reach such a position, the Forest of Magic would merely be where the usual suspects of yokai and fairy gather, instead of a place that's filled to the brim with danger. In the future, the word Tyrant will be gradually applied to a myriad of different places. Good luck! I don't understand how I can just overcome the miasma of the forest, but okay. We can drop the formalities now that we're in this far into the guide. We'll assume that you're friends with all the previous targets that live within the Forest of Magic. Yes, there are many ways to become friends with someone. I said it before, my strategy will tend towards the interesting and creative. I'm sure there's countless ways to go about establishing good terms with these girls. Okay, you may have already gotten to know these girls when you became the Tyrant of the Forest of Magic. The 2 of you actually share a lot of similarities, and that among their kind, they're superbly average. You wouldn't look at them twice. But that is exactly what is so difficult about this strategy. Her averageness will pose quite a challenge. I mentioned before how it's easy for a girl with a strong personality and obvious issues to play into your hands. You'd also know what to focus your efforts on. On the contrary, an ordinary run-of-the-mill girl will only ever appear in the background. A girl that doesn't even have an in-game illustration will take a lot of brain power to figure out. However, we can't refuse to love even her just because of that. This isn't an excuse for us to go, well, I guess I should give up on this girl. Even the most ordinary girl, even those with absolutely no unique talent to speak of, still hope to have a love that only belongs to her. Just like any other girl, even the world's most average girl has the privilege and right to receive their very own share of love. That's why this time an ordinary person like you will need to try to give her your everything. Friends. Befriending Dayose / Lily is relatively simple. Just befriend their friends. Fairies are on the lower rungs of the ladder. The life of anything and everything can become a fairy. In the early days, if you screamed as loud as you could in the forest, it's not birds that'll be taking off from the trees. It'll be fairies that have yet to wake up. Yes, there are numerous. That's how numerous they are. Fairies in the canon are lesser beings than humans are. But there's no shortage of individuals with self-awareness and powers. The more ordinary among them, and the representation of such, are Dayose and Lily White. They're so ordinary that Lady Hieda's brush barely spread any ink for them, so any information regarding these 2 fairies will need to be dug up ourselves. Whatever you do, though, know that there won't be any danger. Fairies are carefree beings. They're candid, pure, and adorable by nature, especially Lily White. She's a fairy that's constantly in heat. That's not right. Constantly thinking about and spreading around spring. Not only is she harmless to humans, her appearance itself can be said to be a form of luck. Yes, sometimes she gets too excited with her powers, and her powers go out of control, knocking out a human, but she's fine for the most part. Now here's the problem. Is a being like her really capable of understanding what love is? But I love spring! Back during Churno's route, we realized that pure idiots are super easy to date. So easy, in fact, that it makes the relationship muddy. Then our current targets, these fairies, may not even amount to Churno's existence. Could they really understand what the meaning of a romantic relationship even is? Churno is stupid because she keeps looking for activities that requires using her brain, or reveals her own intelligence or lack thereof herself. That's why we call her an idiot. In actuality, those like Dayose and Lily White are the ones that truly don't use their brain. Whoa, okay. I have reason to believe that beings like Lily White, intelligence aside, might not even have a notion of common sense. Read Gensokyo's version of common sense. However, life is as natural as it gets, and there are times when we don't have to be particular about mundane things like IQ. This is approaching dangerous territory. Oh my. That said, fairies like Dayose play pranks on occasion too, so saying they behave entirely on instinct isn't correct either. They are capable of intelligence, though it may not be as robust as ours, and in my opinion, anything capable of intelligence is capable of understanding love. Can you consent to the monster girl? Where's my permit? Anybody got a permit? Because while love is the most complicated, most binding relationships between two parties, is also the simplest and purest relationship. It's so simple that an idiot beyond idiots can understand it, but at the same time it's so complicated that it gives even our greatest minds pause. What a coincidence that what philosophy calls a paradox also applies to love. Though I would assume that making them understand the meaning of the words from the bottom of their heart is, albeit a pessimistic outlook, only possible when you reach the limit of your human life, when your time in the world is finally at an end. As their tears start to fall, only then would they realize how heavy of a promise the words "I love you" really were. A lifelong promise that a fairy could never bear. So, while making sure to understand the meaning of love during your strategy is possible, it's secondary for her. What we are supposed to do? What are we supposed to do then? You can become friends very easily. You can even go on forest walks together while holding hands if you wanted. The simpler a person is, the more freely they express their affection for the people around them. But is that what you want? It's natural to ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want to get from love? From the person I love? Or if you think love isn't a form of taking, you'll ask yourself, what do I plan to give? What do I want to protect? You ask yourself because the person you love won't give you any answers. She'll love you in the simplest, most unadorned way. As pure as the most innocent form of life. So flawless, you have nothing to complain about. So ordinary that it might even make you restless. What do you do? Let me tell you, the heart of this romance, the true target you have to conquer isn't her, but yourself. What you need to conquer is your own heart. The rest of the story is either lost or unfinished. To be in heat in Chinese is to show spring, hence the pun. Oh. Interlude 5. So how exactly do you avoid situations that are better off avoided? There are people who get so wrapped up in going about after their so-called goddess that they fail to notice all the other ladies around them that they're already getting along very well with. By the time they notice, it's already too late for regrets. These things happen. Do they? It's unavoidable. I used to loathe stories like this. All I wanted was to protect those pure, naive children, the girls that the protagonists that you have forgotten. But then I gradually stopped thinking like that. There are two reasons for this. One, if you love someone, then you should love them until the very end. What's most pathetic is giving up your love for someone else and then doing a 180 to go after the bus you missed all those years ago. Even if you do reach them, even if you get a happy ending, this isn't something that I personally wish for. 2. Even a goddess is deserving of love. I don't know if you've noticed, and I don't know when it started, but we've all become less daring to ask someone out. We all dream of being together with a girl, yet your paths just won't cross for some reason. This isn't because she resents you, but because you don't take the initiative sometimes. Because you lack the courage to be decisive. This is the reason why you flail around planting flags everywhere, and that is what creates these unnecessary troubles and why your goddess will ultimately wind up somewhere else. I've always held the opinion that the true losers of this world aren't those who've committed to good or evil, but those who failed to commit at all. That said, there are many, many limitations to what I've opined above. For example, maybe your goddess is already in love with someone else. Maybe that girl you missed out on is actually very receptive to you. Or maybe you never liked your goddess that much in the first place, so on and so forth. However, one thing is for certain. Once you have your target, don't ever let go of them and don't make random moves. Some may find the idea laughable. After all, situations change all the time, even if that's what you want to do. Reality isn't a game, I know that. Reality will do what reality wants. But I'd like to know who hurt you like that. What you consider to be unrealistic and idealistic seem absurd to you because they basically don't exist in this world. then why do they not exist? I believe that as humans, the things we pursue should be of higher standard, and that's how it should be in love. If everyone was able to see how they feel towards another person, not be childish, and use their heads a bit, I think society as a whole would be able to avoid a lot of unnecessary troubles. I'm serious. Though it's just a small portion that are unnecessary ones, because even I know this is just a platonist idealism. But, well, we're in Gensokyo, so why restrict ourselves? Critical realism describes the various aspects of reality. What as believers criticize also the various objects we see every day. But what they express is something that doesn't exist in reality. Because these people are criticizing... What these people are criticizing are things that don't run parallel to their own world. In other words, something they want to exist, but isn't that something in reality. Faced with this painful reality, critical realists dig in their heels and lie to themselves, purporting, the world shouldn't be like this. The world wasn't originally like this. When they know well that the world really wasn't like this, they would just move on and criticize something else. To me, this probably refers to that beautiful state of mindlessness. Mindless yet beautiful enough that we can see it as something to strive towards nonetheless. Love. If I said that in elementary school, you'd call me mature. If I said that in middle school, you'd call me delusional. If I said that in high school, I suppose it'd be an excuse to deter the fear of loneliness. If I said that in college, you might call me a loser. Well, I'm pretty sure I'll be alone for some 10 odd years because of such thinking. Until my age finally grinds down my stubborn dreams into nothingness. Until I finally give in due to stress from my family. Until the last bit of idealism is squeezed out from my head. The world has no shortage of perfect, idealized romances. Nor does it have a shortage of dramatic, idealized love. Perhaps I'm preaching to the choir, or perhaps I've missed the forest for the trees. I would be overjoyed if that were true, because that means the fault lay in me, and not the society that I live in, which means everyone still has hope. In that case, many people like me are the unnecessary troubles. The end. We have reached the end. We did it. Yeah. Please clap. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. God damn. Okay. Well, chat. Those weren't as. That wasn't as. None of those were as funny as the Aku one. The Aku one was really funny, but some of these were pretty silly. As for the fun was. What's the site? shrinemaiden.com/index.php?topic equals 736.0. There you go. There you go. There's the URL. Oh, brother. What? That's the URL. You punch that in, you get it. That's what you... Isn't that what you wanted? Alright. Page created. Well, there you go, chat. You know what? Some of these were really stupid. Really stupid. But some of them were also really funny. Some of these are really funny. I laughed so much at the Aku one that I fell out of my chair. It's so stupid. So yeah, it was good. It was some good shit. Loved it. Great time. No, some of the points in here are pretty cool. Some of them are pretty legit. Others are very silly. And you know, if you consider yourself, I don't even know what you call it. There's some people who would look at this and be like, wow, I would never talk to a woman like this. Newsflash, jackass. You were never talking to a woman regardless. So, your opinion means fucking nothing. Anyway, I have fun with this. These are funny. These are good. I enjoyed this. I wish there was more. There is no more. Perhaps that's for the best. Perhaps that's not for the best. Who knows? But I hope you enjoyed. But that is all I have. There are no more dating advice. I'm afraid you're on your own from this point forward. Good luck, soldier. You're gonna need it.